Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Above the Bar podcast, where each week we belly up to the bar with a new guest, find out what they do, who they are, and what makes them great. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the Above the Bar podcast. It's your host, Sean. We've bellied up to the bar today. Our guest is in the background right now. He's getting he's having a little bit of technical difficulties here. We'll see what's going on. I'm not sure what's happening here for you, Alan. You got the circle that normally tells me that you're having Wi-Fi connection issues. You may have to log out and log back in, brother. See if that'll get you going. So while Alan's doing that, we'll go ahead and go through, get some house cleaning done, make all those things happen. As always, folks, over my right shoulder, that's the big board for Sticker and a Cause. If you got something you're supporting, something you're believing in, something that you're looking to make happen, and you want other people to know about it, you can reach out to us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, all those kind of things. Our email address is the Above the Bar podcast at gmail.com. Our website is the Above the Bar podcast.com. Reach out, let us know what you got going on. We'll go ahead and read about you live here on the air so other people can hear about you. Make that happen for everybody. Let's see here. Our guest is still having some technical issues, so let's see what's going on here for him. Hopefully he'll try to log back in here in a moment. This is what it's like doing live, folks. Live is live. So let's talk about our sponsors here real quick, folks. Very simple here. We got Budget Blinds of East Greenbush, Budget Blinds of Hudson and Cooksaki, and Budget Blinds of Schoharie. They are North America's largest window treatment company focused on custom window treatments. If you're looking for blinds, shades, shutters, drapery, it doesn't matter what it is. They have you covered with everything under the sun so that you can get all the window treatments that you're looking for. Let's see here. Device not connected. Oh, Mr. Allen's got some technical difficulties. So make sure you're reaching out to your local Budget Blinds. Let them know that you're there to belly up to the bar. They're going to give you an extra 5% off if you're at Hudson, Cooksaki, and Schoharie. They'll make sure everything's taken care of. And their sale for this month is 25% off of all drapery. That's right, folks. 25% off of all drapery. Budget Blinds of Hudson, Cooksaki, East Greenbush, Schoharie, all those locations. While we're doing this, we'll see if we can get Mr. Allen, if I can get him connected over here on another device, and I can talk to him for a moment, see if we can get him to just log on through his phone. He's having some technical issues here. But our goal for today, folks, is we're going to be talking about marketing and how marketing works together with networking, because I'm a firm believer that networking is marketing and vice versa. So we're going to be talking about that with Alan. Let me see if I can get him back on the line here. Let's see here, bud. Let's see. Can you connect with just your phone? Who's out here already giving us love and hearts and all those kind of things? My nephew, Justin, he's doing good for himself. I appreciate you popping over when we were over on TikTok. So while we're waiting on Alan to jump on here, we'll talk a little bit about networking. I'm a huge networking fan. I believe it's the first step for those of you that are scared of public speaking or of anything of that nature. You can get into a networking situation. It is a great way for you to start communicating with people, to start talking to people. It's phenomenal. It's also an easy way for you to say, hey, let me start learning how to communicate. You are having a Wi-Fi issue, looks like. Can you use the link on your phone? Yes, I do talk as I text, folks, because if I don't, I forget shit. So, but going back into networking, there's a lot of different networking options that are out there. For those of you that are watching us, you might be thinking to yourself, well, I've never been involved in networking. I wouldn't even know how to do it. You've probably been involved in more networking things than you actually realize. Give you an example. If you're a volunteer firefighter, you go to the firehouse, you go and meet with people, you talk to those people at the firehouse. That is a networking event. It may not be specifically like a BNI or whatever you have in your local area, but just going out and going to an event like that, you are networking. You are meeting new people. You're building a better network. You're building another group of people. And what you start to learn, let's see. Oh, Mr. Allen, device not connected. I have no idea what is going on for him. Oh man, like I've never. This is a new one. They need to connect their mic before you can add them. Well, that's what it's telling you. You have to add your audio in. Accept a audio. Bottom of the screen under settings. Yeah, that's how I do it, folks. So, but that's a form of networking. You may not think about it as a business to business where you're giving your elevator pitch or you're having your elevator speech or any of those kind of things, but legitimately just having a conversation at an event or going to a public event. Lots and lots of Allens up here. He uh yeah, all of them say the same thing, bud. Um, that you need to connect your mic/cam before we can add you to the live stream so that you can see that. There you go, bud. So I'm let's see. Oh, he is still able to send messages. Private message not allowing me to. Can you see where it says settings? This is the real behind the scenes right here, folks. I've we're gonna get Alan on here. We're gonna have an amazing show, and we'll figure it out. Or you can just sit here and watch me drink bourbon the entire time and talk about networking. I'm curious right now for those of you that are watching us and learning about everything. What are some of the networking things you've done? Some of the networking events you've been part of? Have you ever gone and done anything networking related? Or things that you didn't realize you were networking. Guess what's a networking thing, folks? Going to your church on Sunday, you are networking with other people within your community. You're folks that are like minded and have a like minded mindset, and you're having those conversations.
Hello.
Alan, how are you?
I'm good.
So it just keeps saying that your audio and your camera is not connected.
And it's not allowing me, it's not allowing me to click on audio or video to allow it. You know what I'm saying?
Under where it says settings, it won't allow you?
Nope.
All right. Well, here's what we're gonna do. So I can see you now. My guests can't see you, but they can hear you. So this is gonna be a first.
Okay.
But this is how we're gonna make this happen. So
Okay.
I'll hold the phone and they'll if as people log in, they can hear us having a conversation. I wish I had the there's actually a piece, but I don't have it that I could have plugged you in to my audio on the side here. That's very odd though that it's not allowing you to connect, and you didn't get my emails. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I don't get that.
No,
It's
well, we'll make
weird.
it happen. Listen, we're professionals. We will make this happen.
Absolutely, we are, Sean. You got it.
We will figure this out one way or another. So I'm sorry, folks. You guys can't see Alan. I could hold the phone like this, and let the world stare at Alan this way. And we can make it happen one way or another. This is live. This is what doing things live is like, folks. Things happen. You shook and jive. It's 20 years in the Marine Corps. We call this adapt and overcome. So this is what we're doing, folks, is we're going to adapt and overcome to this one. Let's see. My nephew says he might need to go to phone settings, go to Facebook, and allow camera access. I bet you that's probably it. You probably have something turned off where you can allow camera access. I know on the computer, it's up in the upper right hand corner when you log in.
Let me see. So allow camera access.
Allow camera access. Let's see if I can look it up. This is a tech class all in of itself.
Yeah, we're going to talk more tech than marketing today.
That's it. Can't get camera to connect to.
So hit the 3 dots in the corner, right?
Right. Let's start with the 3 dots in the corner. If you're having trouble connecting camera to StreamYard, ensure your browser has camera and microphone access. Check for conflicting applications. So checking the browser. So ensure StreamYard has access. Check settings, Android, Windows specific. Are you on a Windows computer?
I am on a Windows computer, yes.
It says go to settings. We're going to figure this out. My nephew's making it happen. Then it says go to privacy and security.
Wait a minute. So I got to go to settings?
Settings.
Hold on.
Oh, we're making this happen, folks.
All right. Settings.
Then go to privacy and security.
Privacy and security. Okay.
And then it says allow apps access to camera or allow desktop apps to access your camera.
Allow access. Well, I don't see that as an option.
All right.
It says Windows security. Find my device encryption, Windows permissions, general speech. Oops, go back.
Yeah, he's on a computer. When StreamYard tap the AA icon, then website settings, ensure both camera and microphone are allowed access or allow. So on StreamYard, on a phone, it says tap the AA icon. I don't know what that is. So I do everything on my computer, but either way, we'll make this happen.
Let's see. I'm going to Windows security. So let's see. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about camera.
It also talks about check to see if another program, Skype, Zoom, is using it and close that app. Do you have another application open using it? You're probably a big Zoom guy, I imagine.
No? I don't have Zoom opened.
But I was just saying, I would think you're a big Zoom guy.
I'm actually not. I'm not really a big fan of Zoom, to be honest with you.
Interesting. Well, again, folks, if you're just joining us, as Alan and I are trying to figure out his computer, and we're two not computer guys, I set my stuff up and then I set it and forget it. What?
Hey, I'm a Ron Popeil guy, also.
Who's Ron? I don't even know who that is. I'm a Zig Ziglar guy.
You don't know Ron Popeil? That's the guy that used to go on TV and sell all these appliances, and he'd say, and forget it. Remember that?
Yes, now I know who you're talking. See, I'm a Zig Ziglar guy. I'm a big Zig fan. I'm a big Zig fan. That'll show me. This is talking about re-enter studio prompt. Now, when you just out of because now I'm just so stuck in this. When you when you left the studio on your computer and you went back in, did it prompt you with allow StreamYard to use camera and microphone?
Well, let me go back to Facebook then, if that's the case. Hold on.
Just click that link I showed you. So, and I'm going to make Alan do two things at once. I don't know if he's capable, but we're going to find out here real quick. So Alan, I was looking over your history here, your bio, as we're going through all these things, and some people are just telling you to reboot. I love it. This is what I'm talking about. We have so many computer pros out there right now.
And that's great. And that's great. Now I can't find the message from you with the
in Facebook. Just slide up. It would be upper in the messages. You just got to scroll up a little bit.
Up. Sure, Sean. It's that easy. Just slide up.
Just scroll up.
Just slide up.
Just scroll up.
No problem. Just slide up, Alan.
Come on, Alan. Gosh. Listen,
see it. It's not here.
I'm very comfortable with, and I mean this very professionally. I'm very comfortable with yelling at people named Alan because that's my son's name. So look, I'm very comfortable with this. Like, let's see.
Let me. You know what? I'm going to search. Let's search. Okay.
Don't you have any teenage or 20-year-old sons? They get all the.
Yeah, but he just left. He just left the house. He's got a. He does Krav Maga. You know?
Oh my! Yes, I do. That is was invent. I actually had a Krav Maga teacher on one time.
Yeah.
On the show, but looking back here for a moment at a little bit of the history of Alan Baker. So
well, Sean, I just have to say, I see you now.
Oh, you see me where?
I see you on your podcast. I'm on your page, and I'm looking right at you.
Oh, now. you're watching the show from the page. That's great.
I'm watching the show. Yes.
Oh, I love it.
What a shame that you can't see me though.
Oh, this is so great. Here, I'm going to send this link one more time. Here, I just sent it to your messages again. But
okay. Now, let me go in. All right, perfect.
But I'm looking back here at your history and your experience. Make sure when it says allow access, you say yes. Let's see. Currently, obviously, the founder and creator of Creative Marketing Concepts, and that's how I met you. But I was looking back here at some of your history that where'd it go? Some of these department stores I don't even know, like Rickles Home Center, Pergament. Yeah, that's a new. I've never heard of. But so then
let me just stop you for a second. So I'm looking at my camera. It says mic is working.
You allowed access, right?
To display my name, right, and then enter studio hit.
Now, I want you to do me one favor. See where right now you should be able to see settings right there in front of you. Like
correct.
Click that settings for a second and tell me.
All right, I got it.
You see where it says camera? What does it say your camera's working off of?
Let me click on it, I guess, right?
Yep, you have to click the word.
It just says camera. It's not doing anything when I click it.
When you hit settings and then you click on where it says camera underneath your picture, did your picture pop up on the screen because it's using a camera?
Oh, yes. Yep,
okay.
My picture is on the screen.
All right, now click audio. And it should say mic and speakers. And then as you're talking, do you see the little microphone moving up and down, the little line next to it?
Yep.
All right. Yep. Now click enter studio.
Okay. Enter studio. Where is that?
So, you're in settings right now. You're just going to close out of settings. Upper right-hand corner should be an X.
Close out of settings. Now enter studio.
Enter studio.
Okay.
All right. Now let's see. Now
it's buffering. It's buffering.
Yeah, are you on a 56K modem right now, Alan?
I don't know.
That was dial-up. That was like the last dial-up one.
Ultrasonic panoramic view type of computer here.
I mean, 56K modem was like the last of the dial-up. Like,
I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is I'm looking at it's buffering and it's not bringing me into your studio.
Yeah, like it's very odd. Like it's like I can see where you're in the background here, but it's not even putting you anywhere near it. Yeah, I'm not sure, brother. We're gonna make this happen. So you and I are just gonna talk then. I'll keep the phone close to the microphone.
That's fine.
And we'll make this happen.
It says I'm in the show. It says you're in the show.
Everyone right, but
can see and hear you.
Yeah. I wish that was the case.
I am ready to answer your question.
All right, well, let's stay with that. So you started off in the retail space. That was where I'm just going to kick you out of the studio because there's no reason. Well, you know what? I'll leave it up just in case it comes up. So
leave it up.
So you started off in the retail space, and as I'm looking at this, I was very intrigued by things like Caldor and Ames because those were the only two that I knew. Oh, I knew merchandise.
Yep.
I knew merchandise. Like we had one of those in Baltimore. Because that was the one that like you used to go in and it had a very empty store, but you could go through the catalog and they would bring stuff from the back of the store. Was that merchandise?
Correct. The service merchandise, the concept of that store was a catalog showroom. So they would have a display of individual items. You would go, you'd fill out a slip, you'd bring it, you'd pay for it. They would send that information down to the warehouse, and then the warehouse would send your product up on a conveyor belt. You'd wait there and you'd pick it up.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty neat concept. Now, I got to ask you real quick, like, do you think that was just a place that was too far ahead of its time?
Well, I guess the larger retailers really put those smaller retailers out of business. But actually, service merchandise is not out of business.
Oh, really?
They are still an online store, believe it or not. So they closed up all the brick and mortar stores many years ago, but they stayed as a business online, same logo, and they sell mostly jewelry and the same types of products that they had when they had brick and mortar stores.
All right. And then off to Taco Bell,
Yep.
which I find very interesting because they have a big connection here to the capital region. You know that, right?
Absolutely.
SQP. You know SQP here in the capital region, the company.
SQP.
Yeah, they actually make the holders for Taco Bell right over in not Schenectady, on the other side of Schenectady, that big warehouse district. I can't think of the name of it. You never they manufacture specialty quality packaging in Scotia. SQP.
Really?
Yeah, they actually make.
Honestly, I never heard of them.
Yeah, so they're a big manufacturer. They've got a couple of locations, but they make paper goods and packaging for retail locations and retail spaces. That's all they do. So that's their Taco Bell connection. And then how true is it though that Taco Bell, that he got his idea from a taco store across the street from that he used to go into, like Mr. Bell?
Well, I mean, Mr. Bell. Well, I think there was a competitor called Del Taco.
I know Del Taco.
And this was in the Del Taco in the early '60s. I don't know the whole story. I don't know if that's true, if they got that idea and they just started their own Taco Bell. But Taco Bell's been around for 60 years and plus. Wow. So
I don't think I ever realized that Taco Bell was around for that long. That's much longer than.
When I was growing up in the Bronx, okay, we didn't have any Taco Bells there. The first time I got involved or got exposure to a Taco Bell was when I moved up here to the capital region.
Well, it's funny you say that. We did have one when I was a kid growing up in Baltimore, but I tell people this all the time. Growing up, and I think that sidebar here. I think growing up in cities like we did during certain time frames, what neighborhood you grew up in is who was in that neighborhood, and that's who you were exposed to. Like I told someone the other day, I was like, I didn't meet anyone Hispanic until I got in the Marine Corps.
No, listen, my neighborhood when I was growing up was strictly Jewish and Italian. You know what I mean?
A lot of guilt, a lot of moms guilting people in those neighborhoods.
Absolutely.
Like there's a lot of guilt there.
But a hell of a lot of good food.
You ate well, but everyone felt bad.
Yes. Yeah, we ate well. And I had one of my best friends, his mother was Jewish and his father was Italian. So you can imagine that was a great combination.
He either grandparent he went to, he was doing okay. He was eating well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Little matzo about a morning and a little doggone handmade raviolis at night.
Yep. Good stuff. Listen, and you know what? There's no food like there was down in the city when I was growing up.
Listen.
I mean, nothing around here really. It's a little bit of a lost art, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because the older Jewish people, the older Italian people, dying off, and they don't really teach their younger generation, the generations down after them, how to really cook well and use fresh ingredients and all that stuff. We go to a supermarket and we buy whatever is on sale,
right?
And that's what we put in our food. You know what I mean?
100%.
We don't make it an event. I mean, in those days, eating was an event,
right?
And I miss that, Sean.
But you know what? That kind of feeds into what we're talking about here. That was our first exposure of networking. Was those gatherings around meals in the kitchen was your exposure to networking. You know, who had the floor at the time, who was controlling the situation, who, if somebody new was introduced, like, oh, this is, you know, Julie's boyfriend, Bobby's girlfriend, they had to kind of give, they had their 30-second elevator pitch to determine whether, the Yentas or whoever it was that was there was going to accept them.
Yeah,
Listen,
the Yentas. Yeah,
listen.
definitely.
So I always tell people I had the most unique growing up. So I'm the kid with the full Irish name, with the Sicilian grandmother, whose mom worked for the Jewish paper and supply company. So I knew them all. I experienced.
Okay.
I got to experience all of it. But like I said, I tell people all the time, I didn't meet anyone Hispanic till I got in the Marine Corps. It was just wasn't a thing where I grew up in Baltimore.
Gotcha. I got you. I got you. I got you.
It's but that, I mean, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, that really is, in my opinion, that's our first experience at networking, public speaking, even.
Yeah, listen, I think that growing up in the Bronx, there's no, and I talk about this a lot to people, because they ask me about it, and my kids ask me, and there's no, in my opinion, there was no better place to grow up than the Bronx. I mean, there's 5 boroughs, but my borough is the only one that is the something. You know what I mean?
This is true.
It's not the Manhattan, the Staten Island, the Queens. It's the Bronx.
I love it.
And no, the Brooklyn. And the other ones, the other boroughs, they kind of like, why are you guys so special? But I learned. I mean, you really learn a lot. You learn how to survive. You know what I mean? You learn. You're out on the street. You learn how to survive. You learn. I think everything that's made me the person that I am, I learned growing up in the Bronx.
I
It's
get
a
it.
special thing, Sean. It's a special thing.
So
and there's other cities like that people can kind of come, take out the same kind of feeling. You know what I mean? Throughout the United States. But for me, the borough of the Bronx was where I grew up, and where I learned how to fight on the street, how to survive, how to I tell my kids all the time. You say, they say, oh, you think you're tough because you grew up in the Bronx, Dad. I go, I am tough. I said, I'm not talking about tough where I can go out and beat the shit out of it. Oh, excuse me.
You're fine. We say it all here. We're good. We're adults.
Good. Beat the shit out of somebody, but tough in terms of grit, in terms of
Resiliency.
your personality, and your ability to withstand just about anything.
Listen, I'm 100% with you, folks. You may make a left turn into some dad talk here in a minute, where we're just two dads talking about this, because I'm 100% with you, Alan. I say it all the time. Listen, like I said, you grew up in the Bronx. I grew up in Baltimore. I say it all the time. Like, we put our kids in situations so they don't experience the things we did, but it's almost like not that we deliberately do it. It's they benefit from our resiliency to get to where we want to be comfortable. And they're like, well, no, this is how the world works. No, this is not how the world works. You just get to experience the benefits of my struggles. I just heard it the other day. This is my new favorite saying. Um, it's not that things get easier; it's you get better at dealing with hard things.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. That's a great way to look at it.
I love that.
Yeah, and it's true. You do. You know what I mean? Things will never get easier. You just know how to be resilient against those things better.
That's 100%. So you back to and again, folks, Alan Baker. I know some of you are probably wondering where Alan is on the screen, but a little bit of technical difficulties. But we have figured it out. That's why we're ninjas. This is resiliency right here. We figured out how we were going to make it happen, and we made it happen. So you're going through this, and large time in the retail space. You were doing this for years upon years. When do we get into creating creative marketing? Like, when does that happen?
So all through the time, the 12, 15 years that I was in retail, I was doing this business part-time.
Okay.
So I actually started doing this when I was about 17 years old. And I was living in the Bronx, and I was a very creative guy. You know, I had gone to my high school. I went to high school in Manhattan, the High School of Art and Design. I was very creative, you know, with graphic design and stuff like that. And I decided that, you know what, I'm going to kind of leverage that, and I'm going to start a design and print business for collateral material for businesses. So what I mean by that is business cards, brochures, flyers, anything of a collateral nature. And I would design the stuff. And I developed a relationship with a local print shop who I still talk to this day, you know, 45 years later, believe it or not. And that's how I started. And I started it as a teenager. And then, you know, then people would start asking me, hey, do you do T-shirts? Do you do mugs? Do you do matchbooks and things like that, the promotional stuff? So, you know, I had to do a lot of research, and I started to, you know, I found options for that, and started to offer that as well. And over the years, it grew to a point where I was doing more promotional than print. But I was doing it part-time from that time until, you know, 96, 97, I believe it.
Okay.
You know, so I'm doing about 29 years now. So, and I started doing it full-time right after Taco Bell.
So you ran for the border at that point. You just get it, Taco Bell, run for the border.
Listen, I was an area manager for Taco Bell. I oversaw 3 restaurants. Okay. And one night I was working in one of the restaurants in Schenectady, and the regional manager came to the drive-through window and said to me, Alan, you're done. I'm coming around to pick up your keys. And he drove away.
No.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
So I'm like, I turned around to the crew. I go, what did he just say to me? Right. So it turns out he came in, took my keys away, fired me. And I found out later on that day that every single area manager and district manager that was hired by the franchisee when they took over the stores.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay? So, yeah. So, I mean, so they got rid of it. See, here's the thing. When the stores were owned by corporate, okay, and what I mean by corporate is it was PFS, I think it was called. So they owned all the Taco Bells, all the KFCs, and all the Pizza Huts, okay? But it was a corporate entity. It was not a franchise.
Okay.
So when they owned all the restaurants, you know, something broke down, they fixed it right away. There was always money to fix stuff. There was never an issue with anything. As soon as these franchisee came in from Birmingham, Alabama, you know, little by little, I was seeing that, you know, stuff was not getting fixed as quickly. They were having money problems, you know? So eventually they decided to solve their money problems by getting rid of all of us, you know, and putting probably, I don't know, maybe $400,000 or $500,000 on the bottom line.
Wow.
You know? So from a business point of view, I got it. I didn't like it that it was happening to me,
right.
You know. So the reason I tell you that is, so at that point I said, you know what? I've been doing this business, creative marketing concepts, you know, for, you know, almost 20 years as a part-time business. I'm going to do this full-time. I'm going to have my own future in my own hands, and I'm not going to get fired anymore from any businesses. You know what I mean? And that's what gave me the impetus to go full-time with the business.
Isn't it and I talk to other owners about this all the time. And real quick, folks, if you want to know what Alan's got going on, you can find him on LinkedIn, Alan Baker here in the Capital Region. You can also look up creative marketing. You can find him there. But I talk to business owners about this all the time. And that's one of those situations where, you know, again, going back to that resiliency where you said, you know what? Yeah, you shit on me, but I'm going to make fertilizer out of this than sit and wallow in it. But now that you've been doing this since the 90s, so full time, would you ever go back to working for somebody else?
Oh, I couldn't.
It's impossible, isn't it?
You know, when you're a solo entrepreneur for so many years, you know what I mean? And, you know, you're doing your own stuff and you're doing it at your own pace and you have your own way of doing things. It is very hard to go back and then work for somebody else. And now I'm at the point where, you know, I'm a few years away from retirement. So, I mean, I certainly wouldn't do it at this point, but you know, after 30 years, I could never do it, Sean. I could never do it.
And you know what? It's funny you mentioned the retirement. We've talked about this on the air before. I don't know if I can retire. I mean,
Yeah.
I, I'm one of those kind of people that even my sister's on here. My brother, I think my brother's watching somewhere too. But
Is that Jennifer? Is that Jennifer, your sister?
yep, yep,
Yeah,
Jennifer.
sorry, I just saw the name pop up.
Yep, that's my sister. Sister from another mister. Yeah. But but
Sister from another mister.
yeah,
Okay, I got that.
yeah,
That's good.
you get that one. But but yeah, so you're doing this. What was that? And I'm always curious about this with other entrepreneurs. I ask this question regularly. What was that conversation like going home to the missus and going, "Hey, by the way, they let me go today, but that's okay. I'm just going to do this full time."
Yeah, I mean, she was supportive. You know what I mean? I don't think she said, no, don't do that. You need to get a job where you have a paycheck every week. And it was certainly rough in the beginning. You know, but I was very tenacious, and I had, I decided that when I got into business, I needed to join three types of organizations: a chamber of commerce, whatchamacallit,
Leads group.
a leads group. Yes, thank you very much. And an organization like Rotary. You know what I mean? A service organization.
Gotcha.
So I joined Rotary. I joined Latham Area Chamber of Commerce. It's locally here, and I joined actually BNI. I think back then. You know what I mean? And this was like 25, almost 30 years ago. So and that's how I grew my business. I knew that I needed to have some sort of an outlet in different ways to be able to get my name out, let people know what I did, let people get to know me, obviously, and trust me. You know what I mean? And that's what I did, and that's how I grew the business.
Now, it sounds like you had a good client base already. Um, for you, and staying with networking itself for a minute, because folks, that's how Alan and I met, was through Chamber of Commerce, the Capital Region Chamber is how we met, and then we've bumped into each other in many other locations through different things. And I can tell you one thing that I love about Alan is Alan, even though we were joking about not being able to log in here, but Alan is not afraid to go, "Oh, that's a new thing. Let me see that. Let me see how that works." Because we did the hi hello cards that way.
That's right.
That
I still have that. I still use it.
yeah, it's a phenomenal tool. But starting to go for you, how did you use those type of groups like Rotary, BNI, all those different groups to network? Like, what did you have a process, and how's that developed over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I think the process is simple. It's just getting to know people and letting get people get to know me. You know what I mean? So, and then going on to the next step would be the conversation about what they do, how they do it. You know what I mean? Do they have a business? Do they have a spouse who has a business, or a spouse who's maybe a marketing person? It's just asking a lot of questions. And getting to know not people just on the surface, but like three levels down. you know
Right.
and then saying, okay, now that I have that information, how do I leverage that to see if I can get some business from this person? you know
Oh, I get it.
um
So
I did a lot of cold calling. I love cold calling. I know some people hate it, but
I
I
love
love cold
it,
calling.
bro.
Yeah, I do. I
I
really
love it.
do.
Is there
So,
it?
I did a lot of that. I tried all kinds of different advertising. I tried radio and TV and print and none of that stuff. My business is not really conducive to that type of advertising.
I get
You
that.
know, it's more relationship building. It's not a quick thing where people are going to see an ad and say, oh, you know what, I need to order a half a dozen mugs or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't
Absolutely.
work like that. Right. It
Now,
doesn't work like that. It's not an impulse item. What I sell is not an impulse item. I have to sit down and I have to really get to know the client and get to know what they're trying to accomplish and what's going to be the right product for them, not just any product that I can sell to them.
I get that. Now, let me ask this question, because it's interesting that you bring up um the cold calling. And I'm always
Mm-hmm.
curious. So those of us that are sadistic and like to cold call, and for those who don't know
Yep.
what cold calling is, That's literally just picking up the phone and calling someone and saying, "Hey, I want your business." Now it's not that simple. There's more to it, but that's the gist of it is, "Hey, I want your business." Or if you're like me and you're really sadistic, you just look up their name in somewhere and then you walk into their business and go, "Hey, I'm looking for Joe Smith. Does he have an appointment with you? He will here in a minute. I'd like to talk to him." And but what is it for you? I know what it is for me, but what is it about cold calling that you really love?
I think dealing with the situation of getting thrown out of an office and how you navigate through that. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
I do.
I don't like. Yeah, I don't like cold calling on the phone. I don't do that. When I say cold calling, I mean walking into an office, going into an
Yes.
office building, and going to every single office. And so, I remember how many times, I can't tell you how many times I got thrown out of an office building because they say, well, listen, there's no soliciting here, and they call security, and I'm getting thrown out. I said, well, I'm not soliciting. I'm not asking you to buy anything. I'm just saying I want to drop off some information, tell you what I do, and if you have a need, please call me. That's all I'm doing.
Oh, you're way nicer than I was. I was like, "Hey, I need to see the HR person. Tell me how you did your hiring." Like I was in there because I was doing staffing for cold calling and then
Right.
recruiting for 12 years in the Marine Corps. I cold called everybody. So I was all
Yeah.
about it. I keep moving you around here, Alan, with the phone. But and look, folks, if you got questions for Alan, maybe you're trying to figure out maybe a promotional item. He might be able to answer your question. Is this a thing? Like my wife keeps trying to figure out a way for me to create promotional items that are drapery that like open and close and things like that. And I'm like, you do understand I would be the only person with that. She's like, that's a great idea. I was like, no, I'm the only person. So do you know how much it's going to cost me? She doesn't get that one. But if you have
Hey,
commercial,
I love answering questions. So I hope your audience asks some questions. I really do.
well, I think they will. Now, how about from a networking and using networking to market your business? And the reason I go back to that with Alan is, I mean, you're currently are you the president of the local BNI? Which one is it?
And not a, oh, I'm a member of the local BNI, but I'm also what they call a director consultant.
That's
So
it.
I oversee 3 other BNI chapters. So I'm more involved than just as a member,
Yeah, you're a
and
networking
I'm
ninja.
enjoying that.
We are a
I'm
networking
enjoying
ninja.
that. I am. I am.
So that gets into my other side where we kind of talked about the kitchen as your first networking experience. How about some other places where that you would suggest to somebody if they were like, "Hey, I want to get into networking, but my business isn't, maybe they think," and I would so crush if somebody told me this, they think maybe their business isn't big enough for a chamber. Where are some other places that you would say, "Hey, start here, practice here, your elevator pitch or whatever or your networking introduction"?
Well, listen, look, I'm a big chamber advocate. You know that.
Oh yes.
And I think that chambers, in terms of networking and being able to meet other business people, are really a great way to do that. It really is, And but there's a technique in networking. There really is. You have to just not show up and then hope to meet somebody that might be a prospect for you. When I early on in my career, when I used to go to networking events, I would look at the guest list, and I
Nice.
would I would check off the people that I need to meet, and I would ask the chamber staff to introduce me to these people.
That's genius.
So I didn't waste time, Sean. You know what I mean? I didn't waste a lot of time talking to people, and I don't want this to sound wrong, but I didn't waste time talking to people that are not going to be
Right.
good for me in my business. And you can't do that. You really can't. Look, there's no time to waste in life and in business anymore. There really isn't.
Mm-mm.
You've got to, especially, there's so much competition, both physical competition, online competition, in every vertical, in every type of business is competition online, everything. So you have got to, and I think the younger generation doesn't understand that. They don't understand the value of developing relationships. They're just churn and burn. You know, and
Well, a
I
relationship's
see a
different
lot
to
of.
them. A relationship is different to them. You and I,
It is. It is.
you're. I don't know if this is true, but your best friend may still be a guy that you met in the neighborhood, all those years ago, and that's how you develop that relationship. Today, I see it from my kids all the time. They're like, "Oh, my buddy Joe. I'm like, who's Joe? Oh, well, Joe lives in Tupelo, Mississippi. How the hell do you know somebody in Tupelo, Mississippi? Oh, well, we were playing Call of Duty and we met through that and we've been talking, which, as a dad creeps you out right away. But, that's their kind of their way of doing it now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a relationship. That's not a relationship. That's not a friendship. The relationships and friendships are when these people know you better than your own family know you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Listen, I have a group of friends that we have been friends for 45 and 50 years respectively. There was a group of 7 of us. Okay, one of them passed away 7 years ago, and that happened to have been my best friend out of the group. So there's 6 of us left, 3 liberals and 3 conservatives. Okay, so you can imagine the conversations that we have, and I don't want to get into any political conversation,
but I get it.
But but we've been friends for 45 and 50 years, and we talk every day.
But you were friends before you had politics. You were friends before you had politics.
Exactly, and I tell them that also, that we're friends longer than all this political conversation that you choose to discuss. Remember that.
I get it. I have a friend like that.
It's getting kind of heated, and it's a shame because I don't know where it's going to go, to be honest with you, if these friendships are going to last.
Well, let's hope. Let's hope.
That's a shame.
Well, real quick here, folks. We're close to closing up the bar. We got to do our New Scotland Spirits last call. Looking for a spirit that's as bold and rich as New York history, New Scotland Spirits is crafting exceptionally locally sourced whiskey that tells a story with every sip. From grain to glass, we honor tradition while pushing the boundaries of flavor. Whether you're a whiskey connoisseur or just getting started, there's a bottle waiting for you. Raise your glass to true craftsmanship. Find New Scotland Spirits near you or visit newscotlandspirits.com to learn more. New Scotland Spirits, where history and flavor meet. All right. Got to pay the bills. You know what I mean? It's important.
Hey, those sponsors are very important.
That's why people got kicked off of shows back in the day. Oh, we don't want him there. Well, why not? The sponsors said, "Well, sorry about your luck, brother. They pay the bills." So let's kind of get into, and I'm curious back to your marketing material thing. I got to ask this question real quick. Have you ever been asked, and you've probably been asked before about things that you're like, hey, look, it doesn't exist or we can't do that. But has there ever been something where you're like, this is absolutely absurd. I wish I could, but I can't make that?
No, I don't think so.
Nothing?
No, I mean, I don't recall any kind of a situation where there was something where I said, I can't do it. You know what I mean? Or, either deliver on time or either do the product itself, so no.
That's pretty impressive, brother. Because I think in most industries, you get people that are like, "Hey, I'm really looking for, can you make me a business card that looks like the inside of a squirrel's mouth so I can, tell everybody they're nuts if they don't buy from me?" You like that one? I know you like that one, but
my industry is so diverse, and there's so many different suppliers out there who do so many different things that just about anything can be done.
You can make anything happen.
You can make anything happen. You really can, and I do.
But that's amazing. So how about so we talked a little bit about if people are looking for a starting point for networking and how to do those kind of things. Is there any of the organizations that are out there that and I'm not looking for no bad mouthing, that's not what this question is, but something where you would say, you know what, this is more advanced networking, start here, like you started with Latham Chamber, which I think is great. Like I like the Troy one, because it's very, very local. Troy's got like 600 members compared to Capital that's 2,500. Is there anything like that you would suggest, like start here before you go to the big monsters?
Well, I think a lot of people look at the Capital Region, and I'm a member of 3 chambers: Capital Region Chamber, Colony Chamber, which used to be Latham area, and Guilderland. So I think that a lot of people look at the Capital Region Chamber and go, "Oh man, you know what? That's a behemoth. They've got almost 3,000 members. I'm never going to be able to navigate through that.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is that they have almost 3,000 members, but only about 10% of that, about 300, are actively going to
100%.
networking events.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So you don't get kind of lost in the crowd. It's a fallacy about that, and I tell people that all the time. And every time I have a conversation with someone, it's too big of a chamber. You know what I mean? I'm going to get lost in the crowd. It's not true. So I like, and I'm a big chamber advocate. I think that if you understand how to work the system of a chamber, it can be very, very advantageous for you if you're starting out a new business. It really is. And of course, I'm a big advocate of BNI. I was in BNI 25 years ago. I was in it for 6 straight years, and I got invited back 2 years ago, and I decided to give it another shot, and I'm doing very well there. So it's not about the organization or the group that you join. It's about how you understand how to work it.
Okay. What do you mean?
Well, you have to look at the members of the group, say, and you have to look at who would be a good strategic partner for you, or a referral source, or how you can work with somebody. Are they a member of your power team, if you will? You know what I mean? Where it's a natural progression that you might be able to refer business back and forth to each other. So you have to look at it. You have to analyze it. And that's why I think a lot of people, especially, let's just take BNI for an example. A lot of people visit multiple BNI chapters to see the dynamic of the members. You know what I mean? And they make their decisions on which to join based on that dynamic. So I'll always go back to networking and referral groups. That's the best way to grow your business. It really is, because it creates a sense of trust and viability, and people look at you as a legitimate business. If you're showing up every week or every month or every 2 weeks, whatever the system is, people say that they tend to look at you as a credible business.
I would agree with that.
If you listen, and everybody knows. Look, I've been going to these things for years, Sean. You know that. And everybody knows me.
Yes.
And everybody knows me because I made sure that they did know me. So it's being in business is not just printing up some business cards, unlocking the door if you have a brick and mortar store or whatever it might be, and hoping that business will come. You have to go after it.
Yeah, it's not just going to fall in your lap. And again, you said it. Especially in a market like today, where with what I do, I can't tell you how many times people say to me, "Well, I found that online for X dollars." Okay, well, why didn't you buy it? Because there's no trust, there's no face, there's no person associated with it. So you called me, where you can have a real human to work with.
And I deal with that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All the time, but I know how to navigate through that. You know what I mean? So, and I tell people, look, here's the thing. If you don't value service and reliability and relationships and having someone to talk to on the phone about your order, then God bless you. Go and order online. It's okay.
I love that. Say that one more time.
So if you don't value service and reliability, especially reliability is very important in my business, and relationships, then God bless you. Go and order online. Okay. I'm not always going to be the most expensive, and I'm not always going to be the most cheapest. Okay. But I'm always going to be, and this is really important to me, how when I say this, I'm always going to be the most reliable source for you.
See, I love that.
Have to worry, right? You never have to worry that if you have an event on a Saturday and you need your product by that Friday, that it's not coming in. Because in 30 years, I've never missed an event date for a client.
See, I love that. And I love that attitude, because, again, like I said, I deal with this personally in my business all the time. And I normally just, my catchphrase is, I'm your single point of success. If you're really looking to make this happen, I'm your single point of success. You're never going to call and get 3 other people, or never know if you're talking to the same person again. So I love that attitude. towards it. Um, Now with we'll stay with BNI for a second. Anything coming up if somebody's interested in becoming a member, they're like, you know what, this sounds like the right networking thing for me, or even their local chamber. How do they go about it?
So local chamber, just call up and ask for somebody in membership. Obviously, they'll talk to you. They'll tell you in any one of the chambers that you are looking at, or you guys can reach out to me and I can kind of introduce you. Anybody can reach out to me. I can anybody at the chamber if you're interested. BNI is the same thing. We have multiple chapters in the area. I oversee. I'm a member of the Action All Stars chapter, which is in Latham every Wednesday morning. But I oversee 3 other chapters: one in Saratoga, one in Schenectady, and one in Utica.
Okay.
So if you're a business that's in one of those areas that you are looking for a way to grow your business and network, reach out to me. I'll invite you as a guest. There's no obligation, to join, but you can. You can see what it's all about and get an idea about BNI and we don't ask a lot of our members, in terms of obligations. We ask you to. This is what we ask of every member: do 1 referral a week, 1 CEU, which is a chapter education unit, okay, which is a podcast or something like what we're doing.
Hey now.
Okay? So 1 referral, 1 CEU, one-to-one meeting with somebody, and those 3 are each week, and then 1 visitor a month that you bring in. That's all. So those are very easy requirements to fulfill. They really are. If you can't do that, then there's something wrong. You shouldn't be in business, really.
I love it.
So again, anybody can reach out to me. I'm sure you're gonna, you'll put my contact information somewhere. But
oh yes,
they can look me up. And we're starting in a couple of new chapters as well. So, if they're looking to get in on the ground floor of a new chapter, I'd love to talk to somebody.
Well, there you go, folks. If you're looking for those kind of things, make sure you're reaching out to Alan, seeing how you can get involved, or if you're just wanting to learn more about how to network and how to market yourself. Alan is a phenomenal source. Now, real quick here, Alan, I'm going to ask you an important question because Nate's not here.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you an important question. We've already kind of alluded to it. What is we're going to bring it back to the Bronx. What was your go-to mom meal? Like if you had one more meal mom was making, what was it?
Oh my goodness, my go-to mom's meal. She's boy, that's hard. That's hard to answer. Everything my mom made was great. I would say that she really made some good potato pancakes. I used to love her potato pancakes.
Is that the latke? Is that potato latkes?
Latkes,
yep.
Potato latkes, yeah. Yep.
I'm telling you, for the Irish Italian kid, I know him. I got him covered.
You're good. You're good, Sean. You got the words. I'm telling you, so that's good. But yeah, I would say her potato latkes.
Remind me after the show. I'll tell you a funny story about a client. So listen, folks, make sure you're checking out what Alan's got going on. You can find Alan Baker on LinkedIn. And make sure if you found us through Alan or Alan through us, you give this a like, share, follow, all those cliche things. It may sound silly to you, but truly, folks, this is how we get found. This is my form of networking. This is how people grow the Above the Bar podcast network. And speaking of growing, next week we've got, and I'm going to butcher Mike's last name. It's Mike Meseroff is coming on. Mike is a former corporate worker, 10 years with JetBlue, world traveler, bartender, entrepreneur, now helps overwhelmed corporate leaders slow down, unwind from the grind, and enjoy their lives as a personal freedom coach and writer. He's going to be coming on with us next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, working with us on how we can also find some ways. Listen, Alan, maybe you and I can find a way to take a break. I don't know how we'll do it, but we can figure it out.
Yeah.
We could use a personal freedom coach. I could use one of those.
You know what? There's a lot of things I can use, Sean. But, we're running out of time, so I don't have time to really talk about that.
We could. So now, look, Alan, I know you've binged all 270 plus episodes of the show, so you know exactly what's coming next, and that is the guest always gets the final word. So what's our final word tonight, Alan?
I think the final word really is, in business, I'll talk about just being in business, is just be yourself, be sincere, be genuine, and always do what you say you're going to do. I think that is the way to grow and sustain and build a business. And that's what I would suggest to anybody that's getting into business or is in business and maybe is struggling a little bit.
Alrighty, folks, be sure to push your stool.
This has been a Second Front podcast presentation found on Apple, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found.